Welcome back. You're watching Power News. In renewable energy segment, we'll talk about solar. In the last 10 months, almost 117 million units of electricity consumed were drawn from the sun at no extra cost to the consumers. The NTPC Vidyut Vyapar Nigam has fed 117 million units of the solar energy into the grid procured from the first batch of the National Solar Mission. Almost 178 megawatt of solar power, mainly photovoltaic, is being added to the country's energy mix now. The 8 states using this power are Rajasthan, Punjab, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka. To talk in detail on this subject, we have with us Mr. Anil Kumar Agrawal, CEO NTPC Vidyut Vyapar Nigam Limited. Good evening, Mr. Agrawal, and welcome to Power News.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask you that in the first phase of Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, around 1,000 megawatt capacity addition had been planned. Are you satisfied with the performance of the first phase?
If we look at PV, the performance is quite satisfactory, because in the migration scheme as well as in the batch 1, the number of projects that have been commissioned, if you see, out of 54 in migration, 48 have already been commissioned and they are generating. And in batch 1, out of 140 megawatt PPAs, 130 have already been commissioned. And with the minor delay in commissioning, which is not very unusual, one can say that it has been quite a success story.
Enthused by the success of the first phase of solar mission, the government has scaled up second phase, target from 3,000 megawatt to 9,000 megawatt. How far this looks feasible to you?
Going by the success of the phase 1, I feel that even phase 2 would be a very success story. Especially if we look at the trend in the prices of PV, which are supporting the solar revolution, there is no doubt in my mind that we will achieve the phase 2 targets also.
Do you feel the low solar energy tariff bids discovered in first and second phase are sustainable?
I am reminded of this question was raised in July 2011 also, when batch 1 projects were to go for financial closure. In fact, there were articles in Economic Times saying that not even 50% of the projects will achieve the financial closure. But as I said earlier, we have already 130 megawatt out of 140 PPA already commissioned and producing power. In batch 2 also, the tariffs have come down further, and it gives rise to the same kind of apprehension. But according to me, what I feel that these batch 2 projects will also meet the financial closure, and they will be commissioned, except that tariffs which are less than, let us say, 8.5 may see a little not so attractive rate of return, but nonetheless they are sustainable.
We see substantial growth in solar sector in last 2-3 years time, but the existence of our domestic solar PV manufacturing sector is at stake. Most PV makers are manufacturing at 10 to 15% of their optimum capacity. Could India become the solar hub, creating solar valleys in India without a robust manufacturing base? And according to you, what should be the way forward?
In the JNNSM, we have already have provisions in batch 1 and batch 2 both for the mandatory domestic content requirement. However, what is happening is that there are 2 reasons why PV manufacturers in India are facing the low capacity utilization. There are 2 factors. One is the global demand has come down, where the major orders were being sort of executed by Indian this thing as an export order. The second reason is the thin film suppliers are coming up with the financing package which are attractive, and therefore, even though there are definite advantage of crystalline PV over the thin film, the commercial sense has prevailed over the SPDs and they have gone for thin film. Nonetheless, there is a move already that the anti-dumping duty should be levied for import from China or other countries on the thin film, and thereafter I think this situation will improve definitely.
It is expected that solar thermal technology would get a boost in phase 2 of solar mission. What do you have to say?
Thermal technology, if you see that we have hardly any project worth name in phase 1, and we don't have any operational data in India, we don't have any experience. So therefore, if we look at the global trend, yes, thermal has definite advantage, but if we look at the price difference between the PV and thermal, as the PV prices are falling, it is becoming more attractive. Nonetheless, from the grid management point of view, thermal still remains a better option, and in India I think we will need thermal as much as the PV, even though the cost is higher. What I expect that we may get in phase 2 in the ratio of thermal to PV something like 30 to 70.
As power from unallocated central quota, NTPC's plants and old hydro plants has limited availability for bundling with solar power, what should be the way forward to subsidize solar power? And can we look for alternative support measures like generation-based incentives and capital subsidy?
Yes, I mean it will depend upon the basically the amount that is available with the government to provide the subsidies, and basically it is in the domain of the government to decide, but at the same time as a possibility I will say capex subsidy is a way forward. There is another route that can also be thought of, is that we can have GBI, and government against the GBI is entitled for REC, and if those RECs are traded, then the GBI that is provided by government shall be paid back through the REC. So that will become self-sustaining kind of a arrangement.
Solar revolution will be seen in true sense when the cost of solar power comes down to rupees 5 to 6 per unit, and it is technology which will ensure that costs are brought down over the next 6 to 7 years.
Rupees 5-6 per unit, as you are saying, would be achievable in next 3 years. In next 3 years, going by the trend. In last 3 years, we have seen the efficiency of crystalline PV has moved from 14 to 17. That's about 5 to 10% per annum increase in the efficiency. Now, if this trend continues, which is expected to continue, and if we achieve even 20% PV efficiency, the rate of 5 to 6 rupees per unit is not non-achievable. So it will take another 3 years expectedly to reach that level of efficiency, because if by a thumb rule, if I say that an increase of 3% efficiency correspond to about 15% reduction in the project cost. So that way we can very well achieve this in next 3 years.
Thanks Mr. Agrawal for joining us on Power News.
Thank you.